There's a symbol hidden in the book of Revelation that almost no one talks about. It's been there for nearly 2,000 years, and yet it might be the key to understanding what's happening in our world right now. Did you see it? Let's uncover it together. The Bible's last book, Revelation, is full of pictures and signs called symbols. A symbol is something that stands for something else. For example, a crown is a symbol for a king. In Revelation, God showed John a vision with many symbols about the future. Some are famous, like the beast, the dragon, and the lampstands. But there is one secret symbol many people don't notice, and it points to something powerful that may be happening right now.
A long time ago, there was a man named John. John was a follower of Jesus. He loved to tell people about God's love. Because of this, many people in power did not like him. They wanted him to be quiet, so they sent him far away to a small island called Patmos. Patmos was rocky, dry, and lonely. There were no big cities there, no crowds of people, and no busy streets. John was alone. He could not visit his friends or family. But even though John was far away from everyone, he was not truly alone. God was with him. One special day, while John was praying, something amazing happened. A bright light shone around him. The air felt heavy with power, and John heard a strong voice behind him. It was like the sound of a trumpet. The voice said, "Write what you see and send it to my people." John turned and he saw something that made his heart race. He saw Jesus, but not like before when he walked on earth. This time, Jesus was shining brighter than the sun. His face glowed like fire. His eyes were full of light. His voice sounded like rushing water, strong and endless. John fell down trembling because the vision was so powerful. But Jesus gently touched him and said, "Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. I was dead, but now I am alive forever. Write down what you see." From that moment, John began to receive visions. These were not just dreams, they were messages from God about things that would happen in the future. The book we now call Revelation is the writing of these visions. John knew this was not just for him. These visions were for all people who believed in God, then and now. They were messages to help people understand what was coming, to give them hope, and to remind them that God's plan was bigger than any kingdom or ruler on earth. Even though John was exiled, even though he was far from home, God chose him to see the future. The quiet island of Patmos became the place where one of the greatest books in the Bible was written. And this is where our mystery begins. Revelation is full of symbols, pictures that stand for something greater. Some are easy to see, like a crown for a king. Others are hidden, waiting for us to notice. And one of those secret symbols may hold a clue about what is happening in our world today. So imagine John, alone on a rocky island. The wind blows across the sea. The world seems dark and unsure. And then the heavens open, and God shows him visions that reach all the way to us. That is how Revelation begins, with a vision that still speaks today.
When John saw his visions, he didn't just see people and places. He saw pictures, special pictures, called symbols. These were not random. Each symbol had a secret meaning, like a puzzle that needed solving. Let's talk about some of the symbols many people already know from the book of Revelation. One of the most famous symbols is the dragon. John saw a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. It was huge, powerful, and frightening. The dragon tried to fight against God's people. In the Bible, the dragon is a symbol of Satan, the enemy of God. He is shown as a dragon because a dragon is fierce, strong, and scary. But remember this: no matter how powerful the dragon looks, God is stronger. John also saw a beast rising out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads. Its body looked like a leopard, its feet like a bear, and its mouth like a lion. The beast was given power for a time, and people wondered at it. The beast is a symbol of kingdoms or rulers that try to take God's place. In history, many powerful leaders and empires acted like the beast, controlling people and making them worship things other than God. But, just like the dragon, the beast cannot last forever. God's kingdom will always be greater. Another symbol John saw was very different. He saw 7 golden lampstands. These lampstands gave light in the darkness. Jesus explained to John that the lampstands were the churches, the groups of people who followed him. A lamp gives light so others can see. In the same way, churches are meant to shine God's light in the world. The lampstands are a hopeful picture. They remind us that even when the world is dark, God's people can bring light. These symbols were written down so people could think deeply about them. They were not meant to be solved in one day. They were meant to be read, remembered, and prayed about. Think of it like this: if you see a picture of a crown, you know it means a king. If you see a picture of a flag, you know it means a country. Revelation uses symbols in the same way. The dragon, the beast, and the lampstands each tell us something about God, about His people, and about the fight between good and evil. And here's the amazing part. Even though John saw these visions almost 2,000 years ago, people still study them today. Some say the dragon is working in our world right now. Some wonder which kingdom or power is like the beast. And all agree that the lampstands remind us to keep shining brightly in a dark world. So in Revelation, we see dragons, beasts, and lampstands. They are more than strange pictures. They are God's way of showing us what is really happening behind the scenes. These are the symbols many people already know. But the question is, are there symbols in Revelation that people have missed? That is what we will uncover next.
John had already seen dragons, beasts, and lampstands. These pictures were powerful and unforgettable. But in the middle of all these big and frightening images, John saw something small, something many people don't talk about. It was a measuring rod. Imagine a long stick or staff, like the kind builders use to check how tall or wide something is. In John's vision, an angel gave him a measuring rod and told him to measure the temple of God, the altar, and the people who were worshiping there. At first, this may sound simple, almost too plain compared to dragons and beasts. But the truth is, this symbol is very important. Many people overlook it because it doesn't look dramatic. It's not fiery or terrifying. Yet the measuring rod carries a hidden meaning, one that may be just as powerful as any dragon or beast. Why would God tell John to measure something? In the Bible, Measuring is often a picture of checking, protecting, or setting boundaries. It is like God saying, "These are my people. I know where they are. I will keep them safe." The temple was not just a building. It was a symbol of God's presence with his people. Measuring it meant that God's people were counted and remembered. Not one of them would be lost. So, while the world may have dragons and beasts, the measuring rod tells us something different. God sees us, knows us, and marks us as his own. Many readers get caught up in the bigger pictures: the beast rising from the sea, the dragon making war, the lampstands shining in the dark. Those parts are dramatic and exciting. The measuring rod feels quiet and small compared to them. But sometimes the quiet symbols are the most comforting. Imagine being a little child in a loud storm. The thunder crashes, the lightning flashes, and everything feels scary. Then you feel your parent's hand holding yours, firm and steady. That small touch is what makes you feel safe. The measuring rod is like that. It is God's quiet reminder: "You are mine. I see you. I will not forget you." This symbol may not scare us like the dragon or confuse us like the beast, but it gives us hope. It whispers, God knows exactly who belongs to him. Even when the world feels broken, measured and marked by sin, God is still measuring, still counting, still keeping his people safe. And perhaps this is the very reason it is so easy to miss. We often look for the loudest picture, the most dramatic event, but God sometimes speaks in small, steady ways. The measuring rod is not a weapon. It is not an army. It is a sign of care, attention, and protection. So, John's vision was not only about beasts and battles. Hidden between them was a rod, a symbol of safety, order, and God's close watch over his people. The question is, if God is still measuring today, are we among the ones standing inside his temple? That is what we will think about next.
When John saw the measuring rod, it was a picture of God's care and order. But what does this mean for us now, many centuries later? The world today is not Babylon or Rome, yet the same struggles are still here, just in new shapes. The rod tells us that God is still measuring, still watching, still setting boundaries. And when we look around our world today, we see signs that connect deeply with John's vision. Our modern world is powerful. Nations have armies, governments, and money systems stronger than anything John could have imagined. It is like the legs of iron in Daniel's statue, strong and unshakable. But there is also weakness. Nations argue, fight, and cannot fully stick together. We see countries working in alliances and unions, but also breaking apart, disagreeing, and pulling away. This is like the clay mixed with iron in the statue, strong but not united. The measuring rod reminds us that no matter how powerful nations become, God is the one who sets the true boundaries. He decides what lasts and what falls apart. Today we live with technology that feels like iron, strong, unbreakable, everywhere. We carry phones that connect us across the planet. Machines build our cities. Rockets reach space. Artificial intelligence can even think and speak in ways that surprise us. But even technology is fragile, like clay. A single power outage can silence whole cities. A broken code can shut down systems. A simple mistake online can spread across the world. The rod tells us that while we measure our progress, God measures something more important: the hearts of people. John's vision also reminds us that faith is not just about kingdoms and nations, it is about people. When God told John to measure the temple and the worshippers, it was a picture of counting each person who belongs to Him. In today's world, we have endless choices. What do we watch? What do we believe? What do we follow? Sometimes it feels noisy, like too many voices shouting at once. Yet the rod reminds us, God knows who are truly His. He measures His people, not by their wealth or their phones or their armies, but by their hearts. This is why the measuring rod matters for us today. It is not just about ancient temples or faraway visions. It is about the world we live in right now. Nations rise and fall. Technology grows and breaks. People search for meaning in the middle of noise. And in all of this, God is still measuring. He knows who belongs to Him. He sets the limits of nations. He sees every heart that chooses His kingdom. So when we look at the news, at nations arguing, at technology racing ahead, it may feel confusing, but the secret symbol of the rod tells us a simple truth. God is still in control. He is still counting. He is still caring. The question is, in this divided, noisy, powerful, and fragile world, where will we choose to stand? That is what we will explore next.
When we read Revelation, it can sometimes feel scary. There are dragons, beasts, battles, and shaking kingdoms. But at the heart of it all, Revelation is not a story of fear. It is a story of hope. It tells us that no matter what happens, God's kingdom will win in the end. Revelation shows us a picture. Kingdoms may rise and kingdoms may fall, but God's kingdom will last forever. And God's kingdom is not like the kingdoms we see on earth. It is not built on fighting or power. It is built on love, peace, and joy. John saw visions of a new heaven and a new earth. He saw a city bright and shining, where there were no tears, no sadness, and no pain. This city was not like Babylon or Rome. It was not like any nation we know today. It was God's perfect home for His people. The measuring rod we talked about before reminds us that God knows who belongs in His kingdom. And in that place, there will be no more division, no more iron and clay that do not mix, no more brokenness, only peace. Even when we look at the world today and see trouble, wars, sickness, arguments, and fears, Revelation reminds us that this is not the end of the story. God's plan is bigger. His love is stronger. His kingdom will outlast every nation, every technology, every power that seems unshakable right now. This is why Revelation is not just a book of warnings, it is a book of promises. A promise that no matter how dark things look, light will come. No matter how loud the noise is, peace will come. The Bible says that in God's kingdom, He will wipe away every tear. This picture is gentle and beautiful. It means that God cares about each person's pain. He sees the sadness we feel, and He promises to make it go away forever. This is the hope Revelation gives us. Not just that evil will end, but that love will remain. Not just that kingdoms will fall, but that peace will rise. The hope in Revelation is not only about the far future, it is also about now. Even when the world feels divided, we can choose to live as part of God's kingdom today. We can show love when others fight. We can bring peace when there is noise. We can trust that God sees us and measures us as His own. Every time we choose kindness, we are living like citizens of God's eternal kingdom. Every time we forgive, we are showing the peace that will one day fill the whole earth. So when you hear about symbols in Revelation, dragons, beasts, rods, and stones, remember this: they are not just warnings, they are signs pointing us to the ending God has promised. And that ending is not full of fear, it is full of hope. So yes, kingdoms may rise and fall, nations may argue, technology may grow and break, but in the end, there is something stronger than all of these things: God's kingdom of peace. Revelation is not just telling us what to fear, it is telling us what to hope for. The question is, will we choose to live as part of that kingdom now, so we can share in its joy forever?
The secret symbol in Revelation was not just for John long ago. It was written for us today. Every symbol in the Bible is like a puzzle piece, and when we put them together, we see the bigger picture of God's plan. The question is not only what the symbol means. The question is, when it appears, will you notice it? Think about it. When the king of Babylon dreamed of the giant statue, many people in his kingdom had no idea what it meant. They saw a powerful empire, golden and shining, and they thought it would last forever. But Daniel noticed the meaning behind it. Daniel saw that kingdoms rise and fall, but God's kingdom is the one that stays. In the same way, many people today see the world around us: tall buildings, smart technology, powerful leaders, and think, this is all there is. But what if Revelation is whispering to us, saying, look closer, there is more? Our world is already full of signs and symbols. A red light tells us to stop. A crown stands for a king. A flag shows a nation. Symbols are everywhere, and they guide us even if we don't always think about them. Revelation's secret symbols are like that too. They guide us, warn us, and help us prepare. But if we are too busy or too distracted, we may miss them. The secret symbol in Revelation may not be flashy. It may not roar like a dragon or shine like a beast with crowns. It may be small, like a rod measuring, or quiet, like a hidden seal. That is why it is easy to overlook. But God does not hide things to keep us in the dark. He shows them so that those who are watching carefully can be ready. Think of a treasure map. The X is not always big and loud. Sometimes it is hidden in a corner, waiting for the one who looks closely. This is not meant to scare us. It is meant to give us hope and to help us choose. Revelation tells us that God's kingdom is coming. The stone will fill the earth. The city of light will shine. Tears will be wiped away. The question is whether we are paying attention now so that we can be part of it when it comes. So, what will we do? Will we let the noise of the world distract us, or will we choose to notice God's signs? The secret symbol was written for our time. The question is, when it appears, will you notice it?
The book of Revelation is full of mysteries and promises.
The secret symbol reminds us that God is always speaking, even in ways we might overlook. If you want to discover more hidden treasures like this one, make sure you stay with us. Take a moment to like this video so more people can hear this message of hope. Share it with a friend who might need encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe. We have more stories and secrets from the Bible that will open your eyes and strengthen your heart. Remember, God's kingdom is the greatest promise of all, and it is coming. The question is, will you notice the signs?